Hey, everybody, it's Pastor Martin, and I'm grateful that you've joined me on tonight. And we're getting ready to get started. We're going to talk ministry tonight. I know it's going to be a blessing to you. So, as you come in, please let me know where you're coming in from. And we are just excited about tonight's broadcast. And tonight, let's talk ministry with Pastor Dennis Martin. Hey, everybody, it's Pastor Martin, and I'm grateful to have you with us on tonight. And I'm excited about what is taking place and what's going to take place as you come in tonight, either as you watch this on replay. Tonight, we're going to be talking. I see you coming in. Please let me know where you're coming in from on tonight as we're going to be talking ministry tonight. I know there are many that come in, and some come in incognito when you don't know that they're on, but you see the names pop up. But I'm grateful to have you with us on tonight. Um, Listen, I want you to do me a favor. I want you, those of you that have a YouTube account, I want you to go over and subscribe to my YouTube channel at DL Martin 96, and I want you to sign up for what we're doing over there. And because many times we may be broadcasting on YouTube sometime instead of Facebook. And so I want you to go over and subscribe over there, please. And by all means, here, make sure that you come in and be with us on this channel also. On Facebook, we're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Periscope. We're broadcasting right now. Well, tonight, let me get into this. I'm not going to hold you. I'm not going to be long tonight. I want to share with you, and I know it's going to bless you what we're going to be talking about tonight. I want to talk to you tonight about learning to be effective where you are. You know, so many times and so often, what we find in what we're doing. And before I get started, let me do this. I made a note to myself, and I want to make sure I do this tonight. Let me give a shout out, a happy birthday shout out to my oldest granddaughter, Madison Martin. It's her birthday today. She's 6 years old. And then, Papa, I want to say happy birthday to you on today. And also, we've been doing this now on Wednesday nights for about a year now. And so I'm grateful to God that He has allowed us to be on for a whole year and be consistent with you being with us. Well, let's get started tonight, learning to be effective where you are. Today, everybody is striving to get better. Everyone's trying to do better in ministry, in life itself. Everyone's trying their best to get to a new level, to get an upper hand, to get somewhere, to do something better. And people are striving. We attend conferences, we attend conventions and convocations and seminars and everything pointing toward trying to get better. We're trying to be more effective. We're trying to get better in the things we do and how we better ourselves and better position ourselves in life. Everyone's trying to do that. And I want you to know that there's nothing wrong. I think every one of us should want to do better. Every one of us should want to strive to do better. We should try our best to get to a place to do some things and do better. And I believe that that's not a negative thing. That's not a thing that we should not try to do. Everybody should try to do better, no matter what level you may be on or what level you may think you're on, even no matter what education you may have. Some may not have had the chance to get the best education, but wherever you are, you're striving to get better. You're striving to do and to get better at things and to do the things you need to do. And all of us are moving toward better. But I found out that there's one thing that we may do, and that is we may neglect where we are trying to get to where we're going. I'm saying that again. We may neglect where we are trying to get to where we're going. Sometimes we're so busy trying to get to a certain place that where we are, we neglect where we are and we stop doing things for where we are and we push trying to get to some other place and get to a better place. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm here to encourage those of you tonight not to neglect where you are and learning to be learning where you are, learning to be effective where you are, learning to do the things where you are and being effective in that place. I want to encourage you to be effective, to get to where you're going. While you're on your way to where you're going, learn to be effective in the area and in the place that you are right now. Because you've got to understand that many times what we're pushing and striving for, we're striving to get there, but you can neglect. It's like you can be so much pushing for your job that you can neglect home. Sometimes you can be so much pushing for other things that then there's some things that go without attention because we're pushing for other things. So sometimes we've got to learn to be effective where we are until we get to where we're trying to go. You've got to learn to do the things you need to do and to be effective in those areas. Now, notice something, and I wanted to point this out to many of us. I don't know if we look at it, but the first thing you got to ask yourself is who told you that you can't be effective where you are? Did someone tell you that, or did you convince yourself by watching others, by looking at what others are doing, by looking at what others have going on? Did you tell yourself that you can't be effective where you are? Either someone told you, or either you convinced yourself that you could not be effective where you are. And you've got to get from that mindset, because you have to understand that wherever you are, and if God has allowed you to be there, that you can be effective where you are. Stop allowing people to dictate your effectiveness. Stop allowing people to dictate where you are. Stop allowing people to dictate how you get there and what you do. Because a lot of times we are so busy, watching others, we missed some things right where we are. So we've got to stop doing that. We've got to stop saying to ourselves that I can't get there and I won't be able to do this. I can't be effective where I am. I've got to close down. I got to shut down. Who told you that? You should never, ever, ever believe that you've got to do that, because where you are, God has allowed you to be there. So keep pressing and keep pushing, because you have to understand that you've told yourself or somebody's told you, but don't convince yourself and don't let anybody else convince you that you can't be effective where you are. I'm going to go straight through this tonight, and I promise not to hold you. I want to point out something to you that I think most of us need to look at and see. When I look at TV shows, and I'm sure many of you look at talk shows, you look at whether it's The View or whether it's Steve Harvey or whatever it is you look at, if you notice, those studios are set for they're not set for 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people. They're not set for 5,000 people to be in the audience. Sometimes they're set for 100, 150, 200, maybe 300 people. I remember years ago, me and my wife had the opportunity to go when Dionne Warwick was on. We was in California, and we got invited to the show, and we went there, and the studio wasn't that big. But understand, it wasn't the studio that was the thing that was going. What happened was, it was the push for the TV. They were broadcasting to the world from a studio. And so when you go and look at most talk shows don't they don't have a big audience, but their main focus is to broadcast to those and to broadcast out to the world. And so understand that this is how we have to start looking at things, that we can be effective. When you look at TV, TV is to broadcast to the world. It is not to have just the crowd that's right there. That's to make up the audience so they can get the shots that they need. But their main focus is to broadcast to the world. And so the same way it is with the internet, the same way it is with us that are doing this. As I sit here today, my focus is not just to see just numbers pop up here in front of me, but my focus is those that will even watch it after, those that will watch it 2 weeks from now, those that will watch it 3 weeks from now. I'm trying to be effective, not just for now, but to be effective months down the road. So you've got to learn to be effective. When I say effective, don't limit yourself to your present. Don't limit yourself right where you are. Learn to be effective. Learn to set it up that it will be something that will carry on and be effective. You see those that have left videotapes. I watched and look at, of course, many of us watch and look at the replays of Bishop Patterson on Sunday. Now, we know Bishop Patterson is no longer alive, but he left enough footage that he's still being effective and making an impact even after he's gone. He knew that somebody's still going to watch this. Somebody's still going to listen at me after I'm gone. Think about it. We're still watching I Love Lucy. We're still watching people that we know no longer live. Still watching Perry Mason. We're still watching Matlock. Why? Because they were filming that was not just for their present generation. They were also looking toward what was going to happen in the future. And so you got to understand that you can be effective where you are. These people are effective, and in the studio, in the talk show studio, if they got 100 people, it may be 10 million people watching. They are effective, and then you've got TV, you've got the internet, you've got even if you got membership. All of us have had where we had great membership, and then sometimes they fall off, and then a lot of different things happen in church. But now understand that there are people that are still being affected. Why? Because we're being effective. We're being effective where we are. Every Sunday morning when we're streaming, every Sunday morning when I'm preaching, there are people that are watching me from California. There are people that are watching me from Italy. I have people that literally tithe to our ministry from Italy. Why? Because we're being effective where we are. It's not just where we are, it is how we use what's in front of us and how we are doing the things that are in front of us. So now you've got to ask yourself, and I'm going to go through these quickly. How can we be effective where we are? And the one way we can be effective where we are is by using the tools that we have at hand. You've got to learn to master and use the things that you have at hand. Sometimes it's not just streaming. Sometimes you can use you can use things for DVDs or CDs or whatever. However you do that, you can use those things. Be effective. Someone may get a hold to a DVD or get a hold to a CD. You at church or your ministry, even if you're not a pastor, get a hold of something and hear it. And that may be something that will move you and thrust you into a different area. Why? Because you're learning to use the tools that you have. Until you can get better, until you can do better, until you can get to the place you need to get to, use the tools that you have. Use what is available to you right now. Are you hearing me? Use what is available to you right now. And many times we don't use things that are available to us now. We're always looking for other stuff, new stuff, other stuff to do it. We've got to be effective and use the tools that are available to us right now. Number 3, I want to tell you, we've got to learn to control the atmosphere where we are. We've got to learn that you shouldn't let things control you and your effectiveness. You should control the atmosphere where you are, especially you've got control over it. Learn to be effective. Learn to do what you do. You don't have to do what everyone else is doing to be effective. What they're doing. They're effective in their area, but God has given you and I some way, some unique way that we can be effective. So we have to be effective and do the things we know to do and the things we can do. And if we do those things, we can be effective and control the things that are right in front of us. I mean, you can control, you can write your own narrative, you can write your own story. You can do it by understanding that I can't allow the circumstances, I can't allow what's around me to control what's going on in the atmosphere and what's going on with me. I've got to do a better job in doing that. And so I want to encourage you to learn how to use the tools that are in front of you. Learn how to control your atmosphere. Learn how to control the narrative. Learn how to control the story that's concerning you. You don't have to let anybody else write your story. You can write your own story, but you've got to learn how to do that. You've got to learn how to be effective and stop trying to find ways, stop always trying to copy other ways from other people, because again, what they're doing may be effective in that area, but it may not necessarily be effective for you. It's like being in a marriage. There's some great things that I can share with you. There's some great things others can share with you about marriage, but there's some things that work in my house that may not work in your house. There's some things that I do that may not work for you at all. You have to learn to be effective in with where you are and the things you're dealing with. And if you learn how to be effective, then you can begin to move into an area that you need to be in. So again, let me ask you, who told you that you could not be effective where you are? Get that out of your mind. Get that out of your mind. There are companies, and you got to always think of things like this. There are companies that don't even own a building. Some of them don't own buildings. There's some people, early on, I used to study not only marketing, but I studied how to do drop shipping and different things. And one of the things that I learned in the midst of that was that I didn't have to own any merchandise. I didn't have to house any merchandise to sell merchandise. I could get the merchandise and sell it to you, and then have them to drop ship it to you, and they put my name on it as though it came from me, and you would get it, and you never would know even when you ordered it. Whether it's on a website, many of us, you don't even know when you go on the website if the place that you're ordering from has even a building. It could be somebody sitting in their living room taking your order and then having them drop ship it to you. And so they're big companies that don't own buildings. And if they do, some of them may not own a big warehouse. They've got someone where they drop ship it to you, or someone that fills their order where they get them to send it to you. And so they understand that they can be effective, but now they're not limited to where they are, but they are global in scope, global from the things they are. When you look at Amazon, you order on Amazon, but Amazon does not always ship your package. Sometimes those packages come from other companies that have bought into Amazon's strategy and plan, and they're using it, and they're helping and doing those things. So understand that when you start looking at this, you have to understand that you don't have to have just what you think everyone else is telling you you need. Companies are focused in their building, and they're doing things. There's some people that have great revenue income streams, and they don't own an office building, they don't own anything, no real estate, but they got enough. Some of them sitting in their office doing what they're doing. So you got to learn. We have to learn to be effective. I'm talking about ministry. I'm talking about in your business. Whatever you do, you got to learn to be effective. I said to you before many times that we've got to look at this social media and this internet thing. We've got to look at that. We've got to look at that from the standpoint is that when you're selling, if you are selling, I see a lot of people now selling jewelry online, and that's a great thing because they understand I can do a jewelry party or whatever, but there's only so many people going to come. But when I pop on this screen, there may be 20 people watching me, and then as they're watching me, I put the number up of the jewelry, whatever, and they buy it, and then they do it. So I'm sitting right at home, having left my house or wherever they're streaming from, and they're making an income. They're making an impact. Why? Because they understand that they're learning to be effective where they are. There's some people that have ministries that they do online. They don't necessarily have a church, but they do ministry online with their streaming or whatever. And so understand they're learning to be effective where they are. And so I want to encourage you tonight. Let's do that. Let's learn to be effective where we are. Now let me say this to you, and and I'm just about done. I want to tell you that changing where you are still would not work if you do not change your mindset. If you keep the same mindset, changing where you are is really not going to matter. If you keep the same mindset, I don't care how many conferences you go to, conventions, convocations, seminars, whatever you go to, all the money you spend, unless you change your mindset and learn to be effective where you are, and then learn to be effective that where you are can take you to where you want to go. Unless you do that, unless you change your mindset, you've already got an issue. You've already got a problem. You got to change your mindset, the way you think. As a man thinks, you got to change your mindset, be renewed in the spirit of your mind. You got to change your mindset. I've shared with you before how my grandmother, when we stayed on 1833 Moore Street, which was a rocky road, and it was a dead end, a train tracks at the end. And for a long time, I had to, I was a little boy. We had to go up to the outhouse to use the restroom. It was a couple of years before we got inside toilets and also a bath. They put it in eventually. And I remember that as a little boy. But I also remember when we moved to a neighborhood where the late Maynard Jackson, that was the mayor of the city, would drive through that neighborhood, and there were influential people that stayed in that neighborhood. During the Christmas time, they would decorate, and this was before home associations, they would decorate the whole block, and we had to do things that the way they had set them up. We moved in, but even though we had moved in, we had to go by what they had set up. And I never forget my grandmother. We didn't have a washer and a dryer, and we eventually got one. And at the house we lived at, we didn't have to worry about it. She could put her clothes out on the clotheslines and put clothespins on them, and the wind would dry clothes. But when we got there, I remember one day she put, I think it was a sheet or something, I don't know what it was, on the bushes. We had a bush right in the front, and oh my God, they almost went into, I don't know what you call it, but we moved from that by the railroad track from the dead end, we moved to another neighborhood. So what we had to do is we had to change our mindset about everything we did from that point. So what I'm saying to you, some of you say, well, I'm going to this conference, I'm going to that one, and I want you to go to all the conferences you want to go to. Please enjoy them. Please go to them. There's some great conferences out here, some great meetings and seminars and stuff. Please, by all means, go and get that knowledge and wealth of information that you get. But now I want to say to you, and I have to be real with you, if you are trying to change where you're going and you're trying to get from where you are and say, well, I'm not getting anything here, and you change and you go to change it, it's still not going to work until you change your mindset. If your mindset does not change, if your mindset does not change, nothing's going to happen for you. You've got to change your mindset. It's very important that you change your mindset. Let me say to you, when I look at at RRC, when I got to Holy Trinity, we started doing TV. I was on TV right here in the city and on national TV with the attorney Willie Gary. I forgot that particular station that he owned. Him and one of the baseball players, but I was on there for maybe 2 or 3 years, and here in the city, I was on AIB for maybe about 7 or 8 years or more, and we were on every Saturday night at 11 o'clock. Now, my church is not 5,000, it's not 1,000, but every Saturday night we were ministering to people in the city and around the world. And then with on the other network, we were ministering to people also, and we received testimonies and emails. And so I learned that we didn't have to be limited right where we were. Now, when we came off TV, we decided to do streaming. So again, I say to you that sometimes when we're streaming, there are people that are watching, and there are people that go back and watch. Matter of fact, I just saw somebody on YouTube that watched our service this past Sunday. Now they didn't watch it live, but they watched it later, and they said on the thing, they said, we're enjoying the ministry, we're blessed by the ministry, we thank God for what is happening, and so we have to understand that whatever we're doing, wherever we are, how we're doing it, that we've got to be effective where we are with what we're doing, and that's very important for us to get that. It's very important for us to understand that being effective where we are. I'm just about done. And so I want to encourage those of you in ministry, those of you in business. Let me say to you, I want to say to you again, don't let anyone and don't convince yourself that you cannot be effective where you are. Do not neglect where you are trying to get to where you're going. Take care where you are, because where you are, if you take care of that, it's going to get you to where you need to be. And then I want to tell you, think of it as the studio. I said again, studio. Those that are in studio, they don't have big studio audiences, but their goal is to project the world. So you can be effective where you are. Be effective. Use the tools that you have at hand. Do what you're doing. Use the tools that you got right at hand. Don't worry about what you don't have. Work with what you got. Don't worry about saying, I don't have this. Listen, go get some. You'll be surprised. Somebody said, well, I need a big thing to do my streaming. You'll be surprised what I'm streaming on. One day I'm going to take time and show you all my setup so you can see how I'm streaming, what I'm streaming. And most of the stuff that I'm streaming with, you'll find that it was way under what you think you need to do. And then again, learn to control the atmosphere. Learn to control the area where you are. Write your own narrative. Write your own story. Don't allow people to write your story. Don't allow people to write things for you. Learn to do that. And then remember, changing where you are means nothing. Changing where you are means nothing. It's not going to work if you don't change your mindset. So I want you to do that. And the very last thing I want to say to you is this. Don't let where you are limit your effectiveness. Did you hear what I said? Don't let where you are limit your effectiveness. Don't allow it to do it where you are, because if you allow where you are, because that's a mindset. If you allow where you are to limit your effectiveness, then no matter where you're going, if you got the same mindset, you're going to allow wherever you go to limit where you are. Take the limits off. Stretch yourself. Stretch your mind. Stretch your thinking. Stretch what you're doing. Take the limit off and trust God and believe God and say to yourself, I'm going to learn to be effective where I am. So I'm not going to let where I am limit me and limit my effectiveness, because I'm here to tell you, you can be effective. And sometimes, let me just give you some, because you need to know this. Sometimes you're being more effective than you know. Some people will never let you know that you're being effective. They don't want you to know you're being effective. Some people, when I look at sometimes my lives and even others, sometimes I have people that pop up on my live. I was sharing with my daughter the other night. I was doing a live, and someone popped up on it, and we just started laughing because the person you never thought would be on it, and they pop up on the live, but you can pop up incognito. Facebook and other places have made it where you can view it, and your name might pop up, but unless you make a comment or something, it doesn't show in the gray. If you're looking at it in green, that means those are people that have popped in, they're watching, or they popped in to watch and they pop back out maybe, but they're watching. And some people never know you're being effective. You never know they're watching you until sometimes when you see them in person, they'll say to you, you know what, I watch you every week, or I watch your live. I'm enjoying your live. And then some people, they didn't mean to tell you they were watching your live. It slipped up. It slipped out. They did not mean to tell you that, but they're watching your live. So you're being more effective than you really know. So what you do, keep on pressing, keep doing what you're doing. Let me say to you again, thank you so much for joining us on tonight. And I'm getting ready to get out of here. I thank you every Wednesday night. It's been a year. We've been doing this a year. We started off with the ministry of the evangelist. And here we are talking ministry. And then on Monday nights, uh, we've added on Monday nights the check-in Monday. And then sometimes I just do some pop-up things. And I'm so glad and grateful that you join me. Many of you that I meet and watch and see, you say we just watch you. I've got some people that say we sit down in front of the computer like we're watching TV. We put it on a big screen and watch you every Wednesday night. I appreciate you. I want you to go and look. I did a podcast last night with Bishop Ellinger from Columbus, Ohio. And I want you to go and listen at that. We talked about mental health, suicide, and the church. It's a podcast. You can go to iTunes and download it if you would like, or you can go tonight. I'm going to put it on the website, or you can go and on Facebook, and it's also on YouTube. You can watch it there and just share. Just go and share with the podcast, and God will bless you. And so I want you to do that tonight, and thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to pray for you tonight. I'm going to pray for those of you that right where you are want to tell you you're not stuck. If God allows you to be there, just keep on, because you're going to be effective where you are. And after tonight, you're not going to let where you are limit your effectiveness. You're going to be effective. You're going to do the things you need to do. And I know God is going to bless you. Father, I thank you tonight for those that are watching, those that will watch. I pray, God, that you would help us, God, because you've anointed us. You've called us to do the work of the Lord. And I pray tonight that you would touch those that are watching, those that will watch. I pray that you move upon them, those that are in business and ministry. God, some of them have felt to themselves that I cannot do this any longer. Look like I'm not being effective. Look like I can't be effective. But God, I pray that you would give them the wisdom tonight. For if any man lack wisdom, let him ask of God. I pray that you give them the wisdom tonight to be effective where they are. God, to use the tools that's right in front of them. And whatsoever their hands find to do, do it with all their might. Do them like you did Moses. Let them know that what he needed was in his hand. God, let them know that they've got the tools they need to get started, to go to the next place, the next level. I pray that you bless them and touch them and cause them to know, God, that because the call of God is on their life and the anointing of God is flowing, that God, they can be effective by and through the anointing, and even through knowledge and understanding. You do it. I pray that you would lift them, God. Keep the press in them. Don't let them get discouraged. Don't let them quit. Don't let them stop, but let them keep going. And God will give you glory and will give you praise for it. In Jesus' name, amen. The Lord bless you tonight. Thank you so much for joining me again on this night of Let's Talk Ministry. I pray it's bless you. Now, do me a favor again. I need those of you, share this with somebody, but I really need those of you, if you're on YouTube, even if you're on Facebook, if you got a YouTube page, I need you to go to DL Martin 96. That's at DL Martin 96 on YouTube. Subscribe to that channel. That's also for our church. Subscribe there. And also while you subscribe there, I need you to just hit the bell that whenever I go live, because sometimes I'm going to be going live strictly on YouTube. Sometimes it'll be just Facebook. Sometimes it'll just be Periscope. But I want you to always be notified when we're doing live streaming, when we're here talking and sharing with you. The Lord bless you and the Lord keep you. Thank you so much. I appreciate each and every one of you. I pray that you would have a wonderful week. The rest of your week will be productive. It will be a time that you will be blessed, and the favor of God would be with you and on you. May God bless you, and may all God's best be yours.